I made it. We made it to the second parking lot, Sprouts Farmers Market. Anyway, sorry for the delay this morning. It's been such a weird week. We spent literally all day yesterday watching the Queen's funeral procession, or Queen Elizabeth's funeral procession, just because it was history and just because it was interesting, and I love to see all of the Order of the Garter pageantry and ritual and formalities. Anyway, today, I've been getting out these old issues of Oye, or Oyez, as we used to call it all the time. And this, of course, was our lodge journal for many, many years. Came out quarterly, or almost quarterly. Anyway, this is the celebration of our 13th year as a lodge. So this was back in 1990, winter solstice. And every issue we had funny things like cartoons, great figures in occult history and things like that, and a couple of goofy things. But we also tried to include hard to get thelemic literature, especially in the early days. It was before the internet and everything, and people didn't have access to rare or unpublished Crowley material and thelemic material. So in this particular case, in this particular Oye, we put the entire book by Frater Achad about the Rose Cross. Okay? INRI, De Mysterius Rosae Cruce et Oreo Crucis, by one, that's one, whose number is 777. Now, and it has like a black and white picture of the Hermetic Rose Cross. Okay. To digress a little bit, I'm in the process of creating and polishing up my two presentations to the Canadian, or at least the British Columbia organized Freemasons lecture series. And one is on esoteric Masonry. And it's in partial response to questions from Masons in particular, saying, well, how do I start getting into the esoteric end, or esoteric aspect, esoteric facet of Freemasonry? What do I read? What do I begin? What do I study? How do I proceed to make it more personal, transformative experience? And not to give too much away, but my bottom line is, as far as giving a suggestion, I take from my own experience, and that is to advise people to let the symbols guide you. Let the symbols. Okay, a symbol is different than an emblem. An emblem stands for something. You can say you can define what it means. But a symbol is an open-ended mystery. A symbol is never, ever definitively interpreted. And if anyone tries to turn a symbol into an emblem, then it's time to respectfully question that interpretation. Anyway, Frater Achad, or Charles Stanfield Jones, was probably Crowley's brightest student, and Crowley wasn't the easiest person to get along with. And when you put Frater Achad's relationship with Crowley in perspective, keeping in mind Crowley's brilliance as well as Crowley's shortcomings, you see sort of a tragic friendship disillusion, but that's a whole different story. Let's just say at this time, Frater Achad was taking the thelemic ball and running with it farther than most of Crowley's disciples. Okay, he was truly a brilliant light in thelema, and be that as it may, this is one of Frater Achad's elucidations upon one of these most mysterious and important symbols of Hermeticism, of Western Hermetic Kabbalah, of Rosicrucianism, of the AA, of the OTO, of the Golden Dawn. Okay. Now, much of this essay depends upon the reader's familiarity with the portal and 5=6 rituals of the Golden Dawn. Now, many of you already are, and many of you perhaps aren't. But what he's describing here, he's putting in context with those initiation experiences. So, and I'll do my best as I plow through this to try to put that in context. But anyway, here we are in the parking lot, and I'm going to start sharing this with you. And I printed out a couple bigger images here to look at. Okay. The title is INRI, De Mysteris Rosicruciae et Aureocrucis, by one, capital O, capital N, capital E, one, Achad, one, okay, whose number is 777. Herein, under the form of an admonition to an Adeptus Minor of the RR at AC, is disclosed the true symbolism of the Rosy Cross for the enlightenment of those who are worthy of the same. And then it's sealed with Frater Achad's own lamen, and also the next page includes a blow-up of his beautiful lamen. And you see the initials of his motto in the circle of that Ankh. And you also see in the arms of the Ankh, Parsaval. Parsival. 777 and 418. And down at the bottom, it says in Hebrew, Achad. And then at the bottom it says 13, and Achad, meaning one, adds to 13. INRI, the mysterious Rosicruciae, Rose Rubia et Aureocrucis. Now, I gotta stop for a second. The format of this has little marginal notes all along the way. Mark well, O my son, and give heed unto this my counsel and advice. O thou who hast for the first time this day beheld the mysteries of the red rose, upon sparkleth the dew, and of the golden cross from which cometh the light of the world. Is not this symbol to be found upon the breast of all true brethren of the rosy cross? Hold fast to this jewel and treasure it as thy life itself. For many and great are its virtues, and of these I will now discourse unto you in part. Know then, O my son, that there may be many crosses, that there be many crosses, and that the symbolism of these varieth according to the art of the wise, which giveth them due proportion. So too are to be found roses, whose petals signify a 5-fold, and a 22-fold, and a 49-fold order. These again may seem to be united or divided in whole or in part, yet each symbol concealeth its aspect of the one secret most perfectly, according to the understanding of the true seeker after LVX. And the little marginal notes actually say the one secret there. It would seem in these latter days, that the true light hath been much darkened and obscured, so that even the most ignorant impostors have heard our motto, omnia ab uno, all from one, which signifies how all cometh from the one, have thought that all roses and all crosses be alike and of equal virtue. Yet herein they err gravely, which error hath become apparent in the strange confusion which at this time prevaileth, so that their words have become as a babble, even as it was in old time, to the great hurt of the human race. And even though our father, Christian Rosenkreutz, and our ancient brethren, his heirs and successors, did much to restore the order of the universe and the power of the word therein, yet such is the darkness in which men live, and such the confusion that is now upon us, that it were indeed time that the true brothers should again extend the light of the cross, if so be a spark of the true fire yet burns brightly with them. So, unto you, my son, in whom that fire burns, I would be as a bellows to fan the flame into the great burning which shall illumine the darkness wherein thou walkest, so that from the flickering rushlight thou mayest become as a lamp of pure oil, and that thy lamp may shine forth as an ever-burning star to thy fellow men. For this reason I will discourse unto you not of the cross of suffering to which thou wert bound, and upon which thou tookest thine obligation on behalf of the universe, that obligation, every clause of which contained a secret reference to the Holy Sephiroth, the emanations of the one from whom all cometh all, but rather of the great and complete symbol of the rose and cross, concealed within thy breast, upon the back of which is engraved, Magister Jesus Christus Deus est homo, benedictius Dominus Deus noster, qui dedit nomen sigillum. Sigum, excuse me. Now, This, as it is often appears, this is scratched on the back of the gold jewel of the Hermetic Rose Cross. But notice on this one, and I've seen this done in modern reproductions, it says Deus et homo, God and man. But it is Deus est homo, God is man. But I digress. But it is of the face of the cross that I would chiefly discourse unto thee, for wearing it upon thy breast thou art become as the sun, who seeth not his own face, yet giveth the light of his countenance to the just and to the unjust with equal love and blessing. What is it then that I see upon thy breast, O my son? In the center of all is a single point of light, whose starry brilliance blinds these eyes, for it is even as Hadit. Now, if you would look deeply into the little rose on the little cross in the center, in this particular case, right in the center of that little rose is a black dot. That should be a white dot. The fact that it is invisible to us has its own sort of mystical cop-out. But it's there, okay? The little white point is there. And if you put that point under a microscope, the Kabbalists would say you see a white cubic stone. But I digress. It is Hadit, thy secret self at the center of thy being. And that's why I call that little cross the rose cross of being. But anyway, that's just me. It is unique, thy one secret, which thou sharest with the one, not with the many. It is thy true name, the word which brought thee into being, whose echo thou now art, and will be to the end. And then it says Logos, secret self on the center, Logos. This I know, for such a word and such a light dwelleth in me, and I in him. And on the side it says white stone. It is also the word which is written in the white cubic stone. For each it is different, and no man may know it but he who possesses it. Around and illuminated by that central light is a rose of 5 petals. Okay, that's that little rose of 5 petals there. I can barely see what I'm doing here in the car with all the light. I hope I'm holding up the right thing. A rose of 5 petals. It is a star of the unconquered will, and the side note says pentagram. The will of the one light and word of thy being as it comes into manifestation in matter. It is a sign of man, the microcosm, who mirrors through his 5 senses the great rose of creation. This rose lives indeed, and the green barbs, okay, there's 4 little green barbs sticking out there, which have opened to display it, are still bright with the color as they extend in 4 directions, each harmonizing and bringing to a point two of the elements from which thou wast made. This rose sparkles on a cross of gold, and though crucified therein, to it glory and suffering are identical. This cross is of 6 squares, and the side note says, cube unfolded. This cross is of 6 squares, an unfolded cube. It is that same white stone wherein the true name was concealed, yet opened as a cross in order that it may be known as a living stone, displaying the secret of life itself. With its arms it showeth forth the LVX, which is the light of the cross. Its sacrifice discloses the rose of love, and this supreme act of revealment declareth its own essential liberty. Thus we find light, life, love, and liberty in the very heart of man. And while concealeth behind all are the words on the back of the cross, Deus est homo. Now, the marginal note has 3 capital L's for light, life, love, and liberty. And it says equals 120. Now, just pretend that those capital L's are just like refrigerator magnets. And you can form those 4 L's into a cross. Just saying. Okay. And 120, there's all sorts of stuff, and he's not going to go into it, but it's the number of Samach. Number 120 is also the number of years where Christian Rosenkreuz laid quietly in his tomb, and his tomb is opened literally every 120 years. Now, Crowley has used 120, and Samach, it's that path that leads directly from number 9 on the tree of life to number 5 or number 6. It's the arrow, okay. So it's the gateway. It's the express train to the holy guardian angel. So it has all sorts of implications relevant to this portal ritual and the 5 = 6 ritual of the Golden Dawn, whose emblem, of course, is the Hermetic Rose Cross. And right, if you flip the whole cross over, right there, right behind that little cross, right behind that little rose and that little cross, is the words Deus est homo. This, O my son, I behold on the center of thy jewel. And the little side note says on, O-N, equals 120. On's a very mysterious word. It's the root of our word ontology, or the study of being. And sort of like in the Greek equivalent of Tao, Tao Te is often tried to, they try to compare it to the Greeks' conception of to-on. The being, okay. Okay, this, O my son, I behold on, capitalized, the center of thy jewel. But even as thou art but a tiny image of the all, so is this but a tiny image concealed within the heart of a greater cross, a greater rose, wherein it flashes forth as a gleam of red gold. So, that little cross, that little rose, is in the center of a bigger rose. Okay, with all those Hebrew letters on it. Thou rememberest, O my son, when thou wast within the sacred vault, which is to be found in the mountain of A, and it says RC vault. The mountain of A, I believe, is in reference to Abiagnus. That vault of 7 sides, each side which showed forth the color of one of the great planetary intelligences. Never wilt thou forget that light, which is the great mystery of the ceiling of the vault. Even though ages hence the darkness of the floor may be obliterated by thy memory when the light has completed its work. Dost thou remember how, touching with the wand the rose and cross upon the breast of the form in the pastos, thou wert prompted to say, "Out of the darkness let the light arise," and how a voice from the still figure within replied, "Buried with that light in a mystical death, rising again in a mystical resurrection, cleansed and purified through him our Master, O brother of the cross and the rose. Like him, O adepts of all ages, have ye toiled. Like him have ye suffered tribulation, poverty, torture, and death have ye passed through. They have been but the purification of gold." This is Vox Magister, or the voice of the Master. In the alembic of thy heart, through the athanor of affliction, seek thou the true stone of the wise. Unquote. Hast thou not found such a stone concealed in the heart of the rose of creation? Is not that stone thyself? Never again wilt thou be shut up, for the rose of thy being has opened, and thy prison has been exchanged for a cross. But in this transition, quote, that which is below has become like unto that which is above, unquote. And that which is within seeth itself in that which is without. Thus there is beauty and harmony in this degree of adeptship. And the side note says, Tifereth, 5 = 6, Adeptus Minor. And that's where we're going to end this today, because tomorrow we'll pick up with what the side note tells us is Nemo, 8 = 3. Now 5 = 6, Adeptus Minor, associated with the 6th Sephirah of the Tree of Life, is the first major magical initiatory crisis. The next is the crossing of the abyss. When successfully accomplished, makes you Nemo, or no man, associated with the 3rd Sephirah, Bina, or 8 = 3. And that's where we'll pick up tomorrow. I love this essay. I absolutely love it. It's available everywhere, but back when we published this, it was a pretty rare little object. If you're interested in it, I really suggest that you download one off of the internet. I'm sure Frater Achad would not object. I tried to visit his grave. I think we found the place where he's buried up in Vancouver. It's a lovely lovely area. Anyway, that's it for today, and I hope you've enjoyed this. And if you're truly interested, I'm going to be doing this for the next couple days, because this essay has so much good stuff in it. And already a couple of you have posted images of your own artwork and your own craftsmanship in making one of these lamens, if you will, of the Rose Cross. And even if you don't understand what it all means, just remember, with symbols, you'll never understand completely what it all means. It will keep unfolding its mysteries to you. And like I'm going to counsel the Masons coming up in October, let the symbols guide you. That's what happened to me. I literally fell in love with the OTO Lamen, which I first saw on a Rosicrucian Order Amorc pamphlet called The Celestial Sanctum. Okay, don't know why they put it there or why they felt entitled to use that lamen, but they did, and I absolutely loved it. And when I saw that lamen with the diving dove and the eye in the triangle and the Holy Grail, when I saw that lamen on the box of tarot cards, that was my first copy of the Thoth Tarot. It just drew me to it like a siren's call. I knew instinctively that this was where I was going, and I had no idea of the details or the adventures or the trials and tribulations that it would bring. But I let the symbol guide me. And I advise you, I counsel you, I encourage you to do the same thing. If you want to know a direction, want to know where to go next, just look at the symbol that is fascinating you the most. Which symbol at the moment has enchanted you? And use it to open the door to your next chapter. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself. Be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.